fun. But now we are doing a lesson on tritone substitution. Oh, it's a good wall. Thank you. Thank you. In the wall. Thank you. So, what is tritone substitution? Well, to understand what tritone substitution is, hold on. Here, right display. The first thing we need to know, let me get my little sign up, my now teaching. Tritone substitution. The first thing we need to know is what is a tritone, right? Now, if you guys remember, I'm going to draw it again because this is our, even if you never wrote anything down, you were in this stream long enough and you will get to know this kind of shit. Don't you dare ban tritone substitution. Tritone substitution is awesome. Oh dear, what? Come here. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Here we are. We've done this. We've drawn this like so many times in the past couple of days, right? 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you remember what this picture is, this is the most important pattern you should know in music, right? This is a piano. It's a piano, absolutely. It is indeed a piano. So this is a quick refresher. If anyone don't worry if you're not sure about the terms. We're just doing a quick refresher. This was Piano 101 and Scales 101 and Modes 101. All begin with this image. From one key. What's a piano? Asks Rhenium. Tritone Sub 101. Hello, indubitably. Hello, Rhenium. Look at that. The Tritone Subs tutorial pulled all our friends. How's all our friends? Hello, friends. You lovely, lovely people. We remember that from one key to the very, very next key is a half step. Or one key to the very, very next key is a half step or a semitone. 2 half steps make a whole step. So when we go from this note, C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left. C is to the left. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. Oh. When we go from one key to 2 jumps, we get 2 half steps, right? C goes to the black key and then goes to D. It's 2 jumps. Got lots of hearts and smiley faces, right? Which gives us a whole step or a step or a tone. A whole step, absolutely. So now we know what a tone is. And this is interesting because you guys don't call them tones and semitones. You call them whole steps and half steps. So it should be a tri-step substitution if it was there. But this is where the name tritone comes from. Tritones is how many tones? How many wheels does a bicycle have? How many legs does a tripod have? How many angles does a triangle have? Thank you for the follow, Dark 8. It has 3. You're absolutely right. It has 3. Let's move this, make it a bit smaller. We'll move that there to make it smaller. And then we'll go back to our pen. So a tritone. 3. A tritone is 3 tones. Now, actually, hold on. Let me undo that. Let me get that big again. Because how far... What is a tritone? If we start on C, what is a tritone above C? If we start on C, right? We're there. Ooh, hold on. We start on C. We go 1 tone up. No. It's not 1.5 steps. It's 3 whole steps. C to D is a tone. D to D. D to E is another tone. And now, well, how do we get, what's a tritone above E? Is it F? Can anyone tell me? Anyone? What am I? Anybody know F? Anybody know F? Tone above E. F. Anybody? Anybody know? It is F sharp. Well done, Petey Girl. Petey Girl, you get a whoosh. What is your favorite flavor, Petey? It's not F. You're absolutely right. Petey Girl nailed it in 1. What's your favorite? Are you ready, guys? We're going to give Petey Girl a cherry whoosh. Don't let me down. Cherry whoosh. There you go. You got cherry whoosh. Nom 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 nom. Tasty, tasty, lovely whooshes. Well done, Petey Girl. You got it. Yeah, I have a massive delay, lol. You do. No one whooshed with me. Why was I whooshing by myself? F sharp is a tritone. C to F sharp is a tritone. You whooshed. You did. Okay. That's a good. Okay, fair enough. If you're whooshing, if you whoosh the screen, that's fine too. That's fine. But you cherry whoosh. If you type it in, then we get whooshes. Whoosh. Cherry whoosh. So what is another tritone above F sharp? We have to move one tone, F sharp to G sharp. Another tone, G sharp to A sharp. And a third tone, A sharp, back to C. And this is the cool thing about a tritone. It splits an octave in half, right? Because one octave is 12 semitones. One tritone is 6 semitones. So a tritone perfectly splits the octave. And you could call this then the tritone axis, if you wanted to. You can kind of pivot. And this is what it sounds like. Hold on. Aye. So a tritone is 3 whole steps, exactly. It does sound a bit like the devil, Renium points out. It was known as the devil's interval, and it was banned in church music for hundreds of years in Europe because it was too risky. It was thought that if we included the tritone in the music, that's the influence of the devil. Which is why there were no dominant seventh chords. Because the thing about a dominant seventh... Okay, hold on. I'm not going to lie, I'm confused. A tritone is 3 whole steps. And this is why you guys should call it a tri-step. But we call them tones, because a tone is 2 semitones, i.e. C to D, D to E, E to F sharp. Those are each a movement of a tone. Why are you confused, Starman? That's okay, you're absolutely allowed to be confused. There's something hasn't clicked. This is my favorite game, so you guys know. My favorite game is trying to figure out what it is that hasn't clicked for Starman based on the words he tells me. 1, 3, 6, 8. One, 3, 6, 8. Those numbers aren't relevant to what we're talking about. What you have to give me the context. What do you mean by those numbers? PD girl, no joke. It's the truth. Yeah, no kidding. It's true. It's true. It was banned from church music. You weren't allowed that interval. 1, 3, 6, 8. The notes of a major scale. 1, 3, 6, 8. No, it's not 1 to the 3. That's not 3 tones. That's 2 tones. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I want to drink some booze. Ooh, I have beer. Nice. I don't get what a try. Well, don't worry, Starman. Don't worry. We haven't even got there yet. Do you not understand what a tritone is? 3 tones or 6 semitones. In the US, we would say this is 3 steps or 6 half steps, i.e., from the note C to F sharp, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half steps, or 1, 2, 3 whole steps. We haven't even got to substitution yet. No, don't worry, Starman. This is the lead up to what is tritone substitution. Are you with us so far? Don't try and jump forwards. You shouldn't be able to understand it yet because we haven't talked about chords or substitutions or anything, right? Do you get though that a tritone is 3 steps? Very good. We are indeed on the bottom layer of the pyramid. And to be fair, it's a fairly complicated pyramid. Now, if we know our chord types, we know that a dominant 7th chord, a 1, 3, 5, flat 7, is a tritone from the major 3rd to the flat 7. That's why it sounds so crunchy. Right? This is not something you necessarily have to work out. I'm telling you that when we play a dominant 7th chord, which is a 1, a major 3rd, a natural 5th, a perfect 5th rather, and a flat 7, it is a tritone interval between the 3 and the flat 7, which is why dominant 7th chords sound crunchy the way they do, right? And this is the first step to how we're going to be using them. Because a tritone substitution is about functional harmony. It's about when chords move around from each other. Sorry, I'm actually taking notes. Oh, no problem. Please do. Remember that actually the most important part of taking notes is to take the notes, not to have the notes. Just by writing it down, you'll understand it better. So let's minimize this. That's my brain. No, perfect. Please do. That's everyone's brain, PT. Just people don't realize. They're like, oh, I don't need to write it down. You write notes to lose them. That's the cool thing. You never need to worry about losing your notes because having written them is the most important thing. All right, so let us consider. Now, tritone substitution is a chord substitution, a very common thing that we do when we encounter a 2, minor 7, 5, dominant 7, 1, we'll call it a 1-6, right? We'll call it a 1-6. We don't really like a tonic major 7. It's not a very stable sound, a major 7. It doesn't sound like a tonic. It wants to move, whereas a 1-6 is very common in jazz. Instead of a major 7, you'll have a major 6 chord because it kind of sounds quite solid. What does this mean? Say we are in the key of. Oh, why is that? Oh, hello. I love 6 chords. Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? So a 6-9, ha 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 ha, is one of my favorite chords. A very common chord in bossa nova. It's very stable. Normal major. Major 7. 6. Six, 9. That's a sharp 11 as well. Major 9. Let our 1 be C. Ooh. 2 being D minor 7. G7. C6 9. Now you see that's a very strong sound. That's the major 7 there, right? And you hear it really a lot of tension. Which you can find it if you want. Yeah, they are, aren't they? They're lovely, aren't they? Minor 7. Minor 9. Dominant 7. Inversion. Inversion. Dominant 7. Flat 13. Ooh. That's my favorite chord, by the way. So my favorite voice leading movement in jazz is a minor 9 to a dominant 7 flat 13 to a major 6-9. Isn't that just lovely? Ah. You can even go lots of lovely things. And if I was better at guitar, I'd be able to show you lots of different inversions around these chords. Oh dear, intonation. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. My intonation's really out, huh? Let's actually clear the loop and let's put down a little thing so we can hear what it sounds like. Let's get rid of everything here. What style should we do? Let's clear that. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. Man, wish it wouldn't do that. Oh. I would say, PT, do you have a book or website you recommend other than your stream for individuals to start their music theory knowledge? YouTube. Just YouTube. Find whatever theory. And any theory you learn is useful and will all feed into each other. The best thing you can do, just go on YouTube and just go through holes, you know. That's the wonderful thing about, you know, like the modern age. You want to learn something, there are 1,000 people on YouTube trying to tell you, trying to teach you, and they all have their own way, and they're all basically right, you know. Some people might be more right than others, but basically they're all right. Let's put the chords down. Cheeky tritone sub there. Try this chord on the piano later. D1, A, F sharp, B, C sharp, F sharp. So it's a 1, 5, 3, 6, major 7, and then another 3. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about that. Forgot to turn that one off. Check a 1, 2. Hi, Vitalus. Got time to put? Absolutely. So when we have... This is the kind of the root of jazz. This relationship between these three chords, a 2, a 5, and a 1. This is a major 2 and a major 5 and a major 1. Even though the 2 chord is a minor, we kind of call it a major 2 because it's resolving to a 1. We can have lots of fun with just these chords. You'll have heard the sound before. Absolutely, we're just kind of isolating in our mind what it is, what's the sound we're talking about, right? A check, 1, 2, with a check. Where's my reverb? There's the reverb? Check, yeah. I'm just having a bit of a blow, Stammer. But people are like, hold on, that's a bit boring. Let's try something different. and so on, right? You can play over 2-5-1 until you're blue in the face. There are a couple of nifty ways you can get around it. And I was actually playing an additional chord, not just these. I was playing a 6 dominant because it voice leads nicely back to the 2. Don't worry about what these terms are. I say them. I don't ever talk down to you guys. I don't try and use basic terminology because the more times you hear it, the easier it will be to understand and the more you'll know. So a 6 chord, a 6 dominant would, in this key, if I was playing in the key, my 1 was a C major, 6 dominant would be an A7. Mouthpiece cover. We're moving the sax on and off now. What happens? We immediately lose the mouthpiece cover. Rah. There it is. There we go. So, all very well and good. Okay, so, yes, so we've got our 2-5-1. What has this got to do with tritone substitution? Well, what the tritone substitution does, it is a way of making that chord more interesting. And what we can do, I'm going to tell you what we do first, and then I'm going to show you why. But what we do is we replace that dominant chord with a dominant chord a tritone away from it. So say we now have our chords. If our chords are C6, D minor 7, and G7. We want to replace our G7 with the dominant chord a tritone apart, away from it. So can anyone tell me what a tritone away from G is? Remember, tritone is 3 tones, or 3 whole steps, i.e. 6 half steps. What are we replacing that dominant chord with? Starman, this is your lesson, dude. You got an answer for me? What is a tritone away from the note G? Are you there? So there's a question for you. I'm asking you to work something out. What is a tritone away from the note G? 3 tones either direction, because remember, tritone up is the same as a tritone down, because the tritone splits the octave. Count them. G to A is a tone, to B is a tone, but to B to C is a semitone. Have you got? If you're not sitting at a piano, Starman, it's going to be very, very hard unless you have the image of a piano deeply in your head. G, tone to A, tone to B, tone to C sharp. I don't know, perhaps you've got a lot of delays, Starman, but this is a specific lesson for you. Indeed, it is C sharp. What's the ugliest chord in your opinion? Oh, Squids. A minor 9 interval. But those can sound really, really hip depending what you do. You're absolutely right. So a C sharp is a tritone away from a G7. That means we tritone substitute. Yeah, sorry, there is a delay. I'm here though, just taking notes. No worries. That's the ugliest interval, I think, Squids. But the chords, I like all chords. Absolutely. We replace D with a C sharp, G with a C sharp 7. Or we could say, or D flat 7. And now look at, first of all, because there are a couple of things. This is what a tritone substitution is, but we're going to talk about why. Because what does this allow us to do? Well, look at the notes we've now got in the roots of the chord. D, D flat, C, right? It allows us to move chromatically around from the 2 to the 1. Instead of jumping up to the 5, you do this. Used in a pretty way in Breath, though, by Pink Floyd. Ah, I didn't know that there was a minor 9. When you're saying, if you're talking about a minor 9 chord, I actually really like that chord. I was actually talking about a minor 9 interval, a note and then an octave and a semitone above it, so C to the C sharp above it. Like, that's a pretty brutal sound. Check it out. I need to run. Thank you for the info. Have safe travels and fasting time. Big hugs. Thank you, Petey. No problem. You're very, very, very welcome. This is also this guys is a very specific technique of using a very, very specific way in jazz. It's a very specific question by Starman. So don't worry at all if this is not particularly relevant. This is only relevant to like jazz musicians who are geeking out on harmony, right? The question is, Starman, right? Why does this work? And it's to do with the chord tones. Because what are the chord tones of a G7? When I say chord tones, I mean the 3rd and the 7th, right? The 3rd of a G7 is a B natural. The flat 7 of a G7 is an F. Right? G, B, D, F. Absolutely. But the 3rd and 7th are crucial. The 3rd and 7th provide the color. And what are the 3rd and 7th of a D flat 7 or a C sharp 7? The 3rd of a D flat 7 is F. The flat 7 is B. So the reason we use tritone substitutions is because if you replace a dominant chord with a dominant chord a tritone away, the 3rd and 7th switch. They're the same notes, B and F, B and F, but they change from B is the 3rd of the G7, it's the flat 7 of the D flat 7. F is the flat 7 of the G7, is the 3rd of the D flat 7. And that's why they work. That's why it sounds good. Because the rest of the notes can change, but the crucial notes that want to resolve, right? The F wants to resolve down to an E to make it a C triad. The B wants to resolve up to the root. Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry, the swapping of the 3rd and 7th. Yeah, well, if we replace a dominant chord, take two dominant chords a tritone apart, for example, a G7 and a C sharp 7 or a D flat 7, right? The C sharp and D flat are the same. The 3rd and the 7th of a G7 chord are B and F. B is the 3rd, F is the flat 7. The 3rd of the 7th of a C sharp or a D flat 7 are B and F. But where B was the 3rd of a G, right? G, A, B, F, 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 G, A, B, right? 3rd and 7th, 7th and 3rd. It's reversed with a D flat because it goes D flat, E flat, F, and then actually C flat here, right? Which is a B. They're the same, it has the same chord tones, they're just reversed. So to put it into practice, that means that instead of having a D7, G minor 7, C7, we have a D7, D minor 7, D flat 7, C6, whatever, you know. And this is the point of a tritone substitution, is that whenever you have a 2-5-1, you could replace the dominant chord with a dominant chord a tritone away, even if the rest of the band doesn't. The bassist can do it, even if the guitarist is not doing it, because it just sounds good. It just sounds good. So we go back to our groove, our loop here. We had a guitar playing a 2-5-1, right? Can I ask another question about this? Is it possible to sub in an F diminished? Yes, there are lots of other types of substitutions you can do. An F7, F diminished. Because that's a thing that's often referred to as a Bartók substitution, because Bartók did it a lot. Basically, that's a whole nother lesson. We're talking about altered dominance and diminished chords. So how a G7 flat 9 is basically the same chord as an A flat diminished. But that's a lesson. I'm afraid that's a lesson for another time. Vitalis, yes, it's possible to do loads of substitutions. So when you have a 2-5-1, you can tritone sub. You can tritone sub whenever you want, Starman. From anything to anything, ultimately. It just depends how fruity you want your harmony to be. This one is a quite well-recognized convention that kind of just works. So I'll show you what I mean. Check. We'll play the D minor 7. We'll go. Just the roots. Absolutely, Starman. Because the third and seventh are the same, ultimately, the thing about jazz is you can actually basically do anything. If you depends how much tension you can deal with, you can play anything over anything. It's a question of how strong the resolution is. Can we maybe do a second example? Well, take it with any key you want. The sound is the crucial thing. Let's try. I think I get it. Nice one. Let's just play some triads, eh? And then the rest of the chat can decide whether they like the sound. Because some people just don't like the sound, you know? They're like, oh, what's this tension? I don't like this tension. I just want consonants. Triads. As opposed to? little bit. I managed to fall asleep for a little nap. Well done. Good job on you. Well done, Elena. When sleeping is challenging, let's bring the bass line. Check. That's a good state to be in. That's called the zone of proximal development. For anyone who doesn't understand this, don't worry, because this is only important if you think, oh my god, that sounds amazing, I want to play it, and then you say, how do I play that? And instead of someone saying, oh, just copy me, they can say, oh, you can do this. You'd be like, oh, I see. Oh, that's why it sounds the way it does. Okay, thanks. And that's the thing. I mean, if you have to learn it, music theory is often presented as something you have to learn, you know, as opposed to things you just want to learn. If you just want to learn it, then it's easy. If you're comping someone else's group, would it be cool to use all the time? Yeah, absolutely. Tritone substitutions are always expected. At any point, the soloist can, the bassist can, the guitarist can. You're never going to get in the way because of the thirds. Because the third and seventh switch, the crucial sound, the crucial thing that is the tension is the resolution, it stays the same, right? Which is why it works. So I have an F chord as my 1, the 5 would be C, and a tritone sub for C is F. Starman. So it's your interval recognition. Tritone, C is not a tritone from F, that's a fourth. A tritone is a sharp 4, is an augmented fourth. E flat over C. No, Starman, that's a minor third. Remember, a tritone is 3 whole steps. Is why it's called a tritone. It's a little bit confusing because you guys don't call them tones. You should call them 3 steps. You should call them a tri-step. Ultimately, to make sense in the rest of your pedagogy, you should call them a tri-step in the US. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. A tritone is 6 half steps, absolutely, yeah. 3 whole steps. Band confusion, I think the F sharp 7. So another easy way of thinking of it, if you have a 2-5-1, the tritone of the dominant is the one in between them. Is chromatic movement. And this is why it's used so much, because it allows a bassist to move chromatically instead of move by fourths. Remember? Remember our little chart here? A D minor 7, G7, C7 becomes a D minor 7, D flat 7, C. We get chromatic movement, and this is the easy way. Is it F sharp? Yeah. If you're going G minor 7, if you're 2-5-1 to F, yeah. This is the easy way of thinking about it, right? 251 to F. G minor 7, G flat 7, F, chromatic. So I can play F sharp 7 over C. Absolutely. And this is where we can delve a little further. Now, that is an initial approach, and this is something that they kind of they do you at music college, but they don't talk about the next step. And the next step is what I find really interesting. It's not just about like, oh, I can play this chord over that. It's, well, what do the sound of these notes make? What are the other notes? We've established that the third and seventh are the same, right? So a little brain exercise. Well, the third and seventh of a G flat 7. Anybody? You know what? G flat, A flat. B flat is the third, right? Right? And F flat is the 7. Ban F sharp 7. I have caramel apples and wooden skewers. I think I can make caramel apples. Ooh! It's time for Ed to eat, guys. Ed needs to eat some food. Ed needs to eat some food. I was going to do a WoW stream, but actually I just need to eat some food. How long have we been streaming? How long have I been alive? This has been so much fun. I've had such a good variety of stuff today. Hey. The other notes, like, well, we've established that the third and seventh are the same. It's fine. But what about the root and fifth? Well, the G flat, right, gives us a flat 9 over the F. So it's a major 7 flat 9, which is a weird sound. But what's the fifth? What's the fifth of the tritone? Well, it's a semitone below the fifth of that. It's a sharp 5. G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat. D flat, right? Sharp 5, man. So the sound of a tritone sub is not just about that. It's about what the tones. Half my think of S flat instead of E. Absolutely. The only reason I did it is because it's the 7th of a G. And the 7th of a G has to be an F. Otherwise, it's a 6. E is a 6 of a G, right? And that's enharmonics. And that's something we alluded to. Enharmonics. In a nutshell, the reason we do that is so that a scale looks like this instead of this. Right? Because if we have an E, then we will have an E flat, and then an E natural, and then a G flat. And that's the 6th and the 7th. Enharmonics is my new boy band name. But these are things I'm kind of skipping over because there's a lot of other questions that could be asked about all of those terms, and I would be absolutely delighted to help you guys with them. But not now, because I think that's us for today. Are you happy, Starman? Is there any other questions? And we aren't done yet. Ed, I really can't thank you enough for your patience and everything with this. I can't explain my gratitude, and we aren't done yet. Oh, no worries, Starman. My pleasure. My pleasure. And again, going over this helps me remind myself and helps me understand it better. So you guys, I mean, I've been I've been doing this for 7 years now, thinking about it like all the time in all my practice, and still I get things wrong. So you can understand that when you have to think, so for example, a perfect example, Starman, if when trying to think quickly, you blank and for a second you're like, oh, tritone C to F, then nothing makes sense. It's like, but why? But why? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So, and it really shows you how these fundamentals work in the long term. The easier you're able to recall the fundamentals, the less times your brain is jolted into, but I don't understand, by that kind of thing. I'm going to review my notes now and practice on piano. Absolutely. It's all about the sound. It's all about the sound. The only reason this matters is because it sounds fucking hip and we want to play it, right? That's why we give it a name. So we can say, I'm going to play that thing. As opposed to, no, that cool sound that you played the other day in the middle of your solo. They're like, what, you mean this one? You're like, no, the other sound that sounded more like, I don't know, turquoise and lime flavored cake. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, that thing. And they're like, the tritone substitution. It's like, yes! So we'll just say that next time. Oh, okay, yeah, the tritone sub. You're really amazing. Oh, God. Oh, stop. Stop. You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. And I think, guys, that's probably it. I don't know how long we've been going now. It's been